Alrighty guys, hello and welcome back to the show. Got a sentence match coming your way. As promised, today is going to be Roast Willow Day. So we'll get into introducing the players here in just a second, but if you're unfamiliar, the air player on Team 2, Willow's Duality, Forge Alliance Forever caster, good buddy of mine as well. So yeah, we're roasting Willow at his request. We have a lot of fun with these casts, but we'll go ahead and get into introducing the players. I think the map needs no introduction. It's a mainstay of the Forged Alliance Forever community. Sentence clutch, naval battles, air battles, some land engagements early on and later on in the game, as you'll see. So with that, let's go ahead and get into introducing our players, starting with Team 1 up at the top, Team 2 down at the bottom. For the beach position, we have Silent Bug, going as the Aeon, getting some mexes up. First land, working on that hydro. In the rear guard air position, we have Pagilo Borea. Is that right? Are there two L's there? I can't read it. Pagiloi Borea, I guess. I don't know. I'm probably butchering that, so apologies in advance. On the cliffs, we've got Nancy Boy K going as the Seraphim, opening first land. We've seen Nancy Boy in a couple of different casts. He's a pretty solid sentence player. There's one that sticks out in my mind that I'll link down in the description below if I can find it, if you're interested in another kind of epic sentence cast. And then in the front position, who is AFK, we have Quantum Typhoon, who's also pretty good, who's also been a long time player. I didn't realize he played Seton, but I played with this guy several times. But he says, got no PM, been waiting for game to start. Okay, well, I'm sure that'll get worked out here. As this game is quite a good game. I just didn't notice that whenever I was vetting the replay. Going over to team number 2, we have Arma 473 going as Seraphim, first and second land, making sense in the front position. Causeway player. Looks like there was a quick pause. Hopefully that worked for... Okay, Quantum Typhoon up and running. Going to be playing at a little bit of a disadvantage, but still going to be a good game nevertheless. We've got Ryan 1991-991, who is going at Cybrin in the Cliffs position for team number 2. First land, second air. Pretty standard build there. On the beach position for team number 2, we have got... Where is the commander? Probably walking towards the middle, I would assume. Yep, there he is. UEF, we've got Jukebox Hero with stars in his eyes. Thought he passed his own shadow by the backstage door, like a drift from the past to that day in the rain. You know the drill. That's a Foreigner song. If you guys don't know, I was actually just talking about 80s rock with Hyper, one of my other friends in the FAF community. He's a big Iron Maiden fan. But the man of the show today is going to be Willow's Duality. In the rear guard air position, first land, second air, in this sentence map. Got a lot of engineers that are out reclaiming. Willow likes to do this really dumb thing where he spaces out his power generators because he's paranoid about power generators getting hit by T1 bombers. So, I think it's stupid. I know there's a reason why you do it, but to me, it's just dumb. And because we're roasting Willow, that seems to be, we're going to be calling Willow dumb quite a bit. Like, for instance, having to rely on an eco mod to actually upgrade your mexes. Can't have that. Can't have that at all. But as Willow is sorting out his life and making all the wrong decisions, we'll go ahead and move over to the middle where, because Quantum Typhoon was a little bit AFK, Arma is going to have a lot of airtime here with this mass in the middle. That's going to be rougher for team number 1 to deal with, as Quantum Typhoon maybe about halfway to the middle. Arma going to be able to hoover up a lot of these wrecks, and even Jukebox Hero is going to be able to pick up some of this mass as well. And actually, the first one to the middle, ironically for team 1, is Silent Bug, our beach player, showing up and grabbing some of these Salem wrecks here. Some of the Salem wrecks here in the middle, but. Yep, this is definitely going to be a win for Team 2 on the reclaim side of things. We'll see if Team 1 can kind of level the playing field, as they do get 2 comps here in the middle. Quantum Typhoon running himself as quickly as possible. Silent Bug getting a couple of love taps in on Arma there. Arma, I don't think too worried about this, as he'll be able to fight back and also has some Tech 1 units and a second commander nearby. But looking at total reclaim numbers, if we go over, you can see Team 2, 11k mass, Team 1, about 5.5 mass. So literally double the mass reclaimed. A lot of that undoubtedly from the middle area where Team 2 was able to get a lot of airtime whenever it comes to just overall mass reclaim. And Silent Bug taking some damage here from Tech 1 units supported there from Arma. Can walk himself into the water whenever he chooses. And actually Arma trying to do a little bit of body blocking here. Silent Bug going for more reclaim. And this is getting, you know, a little bit dangerous for him here. We got a couple of Zuis that have now shown up that will do some pretty significant damage to that commander. Arma tries for another block, but is going to miss it, as Silent Bug's ACU should be able to sink beneath the waves, down at about 2300 HP. Over here on the other side of the causeway, Quantum Typhoon and Jukebox Hero getting into it a little bit. Jukebox Hero, the one faring a little bit worse in this engagement, is now he is going to retreat into the water, or tease us with retreating into the water, and is instead going to reclaim, you know, some trees. A tree, I guess. Interesting choice. I don't know if I would have sacrificed 1000 HP on my commander for that, but you know, that's why I am a noob, and these guys are the ones that get paid the big bucks and play in the big games. As Quantum Typhoon now surrounded by Tech 1 units, should be just fine here, especially if he has overcharge available to him. And he needs to dodge these Zui rounds, as he does eat one there. That was a pretty significant amount of damage, but I don't think there's enough Tech 1 units here to kill him immediately. And as he is retreating, he does have his own Tech 1 factories coming to offer support, so he'll be just fine there. As far as drops on the side, for the side islands to get an additional 5 mexes here, both of the Cliff players were able to secure their side islands, so no shenanigans here. Although Jukebox Hero gone for a little bit of a drop here. It's a little bit, little odd. I don't know whether he's just going to be annoying and capture or reclaim this mex. Looks like he's capturing some of a Nancy Boy mex there. And then getting down a Tech 1 land factory, so that's going to be annoying. I doubt it's going to be a big problem for Nancy Boy, but probably going to be annoying nonetheless. And actually, Jukebox Hero, first one in the water, trying to do some harassing here. Nancy Boy going straight for Tech 2 Navy, gets one frigate out and then goes for that Tech 2 Navy play on the Seraphim. So able to avoid the naval block. Sometimes it can be, you can have a naval lock be a little bit more common on Settins, where one player just can't get into the water fast enough and ends up playing on the back foot in their pond the entire time, which usually ends up with one of these pawns being completely dominated by one player. It's always rough whenever that happens early on in the game. This time it's looking like there's going to be decent contest in the water from both players. And actually, we've even got Arma creating a naval factory here, helping out his Cliff player, or Rocks player, Ryan, who's up at 3 naval factories. Are any of these on the way to Tech 2 yet? Looks like all of these are just idle, sitting there, so getting some initial infrastructure up, but not producing any units as of yet. Has actually gone for Tech 2 Air, which is usually what I do whenever I'm playing Settins. I don't know if that's the right thing to do or not, but usually I go for Tech 2 Air before I go for Tech 2 Navy, just so that I can get, it seems to be a little easier to get Tech 2 engineers coordinated out of an air factory than out of a naval factory, so I'm lazy in that way. As Arma on the front line with his commander, squaring off against some Tech 1 units, does have Ilshivas here though to offer support, so shouldn't be in too much danger. Gonna wipe the floor with all those Tech 1 units out of Quantum Typhoon, and Quantum Typhoon might want to be a little bit careful with his commander here. These Ilshivas will pack a punch, and if Arma gets in range and hit with his commander, there's not a ton to keep Arma from just walking Quantum Typhoon down. There's not really any point defense. I don't see any Tech 2 out of Quantum Typhoon yet. Keep in mind, Quantum Typhoon was dealing with some technical issues at the beginning, so... And now we see Arma has found Quantum Typhoon's commander. Needs to shift all these units up here on the top of your screen to engage this commander. And that would be a dead comm. Quantum Typhoon at 1200. Maybe not the first player you would want to take out. Ideally, you'd want to get Silent Bug or Nancy Boy out of the game. Especially because Silent Bug and Nancy Boy, both pros, if we're going by the Guile rating. But the balanced out by our 700 rated player in the air slot for team number 1, whereas every single player on team 2 is 1300 rating. So solidly in the, kind of upper level of Joe-dom, I guess you would call it, the kingdom of Joe. Arma actually just doing a run by here, ignoring Quantum Typhoon's base, which kind of makes sense. Silent Bug bringing his commander out to deal with these Ilshivas. Does have a gun upgrade on his commander, so that's going to help him out quite a bit, but didn't look like he was overcharging at all, and is now resorting to Tech 1 bombers to deal with the Tech 1 and 2 incursion there out from Arma. And I thought that this push was going to get stalled out there immediately, but it looks like it's got a little bit of life left in it. Silent Bug peeking his head out of the water. That's going to be the last of the units on that push. And Quantum Typhoon now going for a gun upgrade on his commander. Arma still with a vanilla comm here. Pretty quick gun upgrade here. Is getting some assistance. And some point defense out there engaging Arma's initial commander. He should be able to overcharge those down pretty easily. Then Arma looking to try and cancel out this gun upgrade, but does need to be careful. He's got to deal with both the commander as well as this point defense. Actually, that point defense just gets evaporated by Zooey shells. Still needs to be a little bit careful with his commander, as that is a vanilla comm. Also taking a Tech 1 bomber, and now we have a broadsword out from rearguard air player. That's a decently quick broadsword. 12 minutes into the game. Is Arma might be dead here. Actually, yeah, Arma is dead. Yep. Died to a Tech 3 gunship. Whose fault is that, ladies and gentlemen? It is Willow's fault. Willow doing just absolutely dropping the ball here as an air player. Ironically, not entirely far from the truth. He does seem to be a little bit behind. Is getting Coronas out. I think he said this was his first game in quite some time, but it is behind on the Tech 3 power generator. Seemed like he got to Tech 3 air a little bit later as well. So, yeah, Willow falling a little bit behind here on the air game. Does look like, though, he is actually producing ASF, whereas whenever we checked in on our air player for Team 1, Air Factory was idle, which is not great. It does have 2 ASF in the sky, as well as a bunch of interceptors. Getting a little bit of lovely, salty comments out of Jukebox Hero there. There's Arma trying to justify his strategies. Willow is going maximum reclaim here. How many engineers is that? We have got 101 Tech 1 engineers out from Willow. That is a lot of Tech 1 engineers, and he's just reclaiming everybody's shit. So that's greedy. But you don't get to be a famous YouTube personality like Willow by playing nice. You got to bend the rules, even break them a little bit. You got to crush the little guys in front of you. But anyway, Arma's base now transferred over to Ryan, the Cliffs player there for Team 2. Ryan with a decent Navy here going up against Silent. Silent has been very silent on the Navy side, does have Tech 2 up. So you'll start to see some destroyers coming out from him. Actually, well, was focusing almost entirely on Tech 2 engineers, getting some build power put together, but now has started manufacturing destroyers as he sees the very healthy Navy here out of Ryan. Ryan with his first destroyer on the field. Cruiser following it up. Actually, 2 destroyers up here. I misspoke that. So Ryan could push in and really crumple Silent's base, which is really important. Remember, Team 2 operating pretty much all on equal footing at 1300, where there is some pretty large capability swings between Nancy at almost at 1900 level rating and the air player at 700 level. Silent Bug at 1600 level is definitely a player you want to eliminate or neuter as quickly as possible in a full share situation like this. And that's what we're seeing Ryan look to do here. Like to see him play even a little bit more aggressive. There's nothing here that Silent can really do to shut him down. He only has he has 2 destroyers off the line right now versus the 2 destroyers here out of Ryan, and with another destroyer on the way. So Ryan does have the luxury of playing very aggressively here. Does have a ton of Zuis on the way as well. Just needs to not be scared of Silent here. And I mean, we do have the luxury of knowing everything that is on the map right now, and that Silent can't really stand up to him right now. But he doesn't know that. For all he knows, there's a Tech 3 naval factory back here about ready to, crap out a battleship, which would be pretty wild at 17 minutes, but still definitely a possibility. Zui's being used here almost as cannon fodder, while the destroyers here for Ryan just kind of sit at the back and take pot shots at the opposing destroyers and the frigates. And the cruiser as well, offering some good air cover here. But Zuis are gone, so now the destroyers are going to have to trade blows themselves. And this is one of the bad things about Cybran Navy is the Salems, they don't like shooting backwards. So you kind of have to play aggressively with them, or do kind of an east-west strafing kind of maneuver. Because if you have them positioned incorrectly, they will not shoot over their shoulder as they're running. But yeah, as far as the initial engagement goes, that's probably about as good as Silent could have hoped for. But he has another wave of Zuis inbound, as well as a bunch of frigates, destroyers, and subs coming out of Ryan's manufacturing facilities. So Silent is holding for now. We'll see how long that lasts. Having to split attention between the artillery that is floating across the water, as well as the destroyers, is not an ideal position to be in. Had a little initial air scuffle there. Willow winning air. Let's check and see if he's making ASF still, because he shouldn't be. He's 1 air. He's still making ASF. What an idiotic move. Everybody knows that 10 ASF is plenty in the air. You don't need any more than 10. 10 is the magical number. Probably stretching a little bit for that joke, but that's okay. I'm pretty flexible. You guys will get flexible too if you start laughing at my bad jokes. But Naval Factory going down there for Silent. And we actually have Yenzines here. The Tech 2 hover tanks for the Seraphim getting thrown into the fray as well. So Ryan depending very heavily on some of that floating nonsense out of the Seraphim to bolster his navy, act as a little bit of a meat shield. Doesn't have near as many frigates, focusing mostly on destroyers and cruisers to kind of add that firepower. Seems to be working out relatively well for him, as another destroyer is going to go down. Silent has gotten a pretty decent destroyer presence here, though. So he's still got 4 or 5 destroyers up. But I think at this rate, it's just a matter of time. Manufacturing ability is going down. He is trying to get up some point defense here to deal with the Zuis that keep flooding into his area, but he's losing tons of build power here. Zui is absolutely murdering all these innocent civilians, and some of these Zuis might even make it in on the Mexes there for Ryan, which would not be good either, as the beach player much more vulnerable to getting attacked from the Navy than the Rocks player is. So yeah, Silent, I think, is going to get kicked out of the water here, as long as Ryan just kind of bides his time and then arranges these Oblivion turrets you see on the edge. Ryan should be good to go there. Last couple of destroyers holding the line, one very badly damaged, taken on water, another one fresh off the assembly line, but Ryan might as well just shut this factory down, as all it's going to do is die here in the next couple minutes. So let's see what the plan is for Ryan. Broadsword's coming out now for Rearguard Air Player, which, if y'all have noticed, I'm not going to try and pronounce that name anymore. We're just going to call him Rearguard Air Player. And actually, it looks like these Salem's going for a little bit of a stroll, stepping out on the water. One thing he does need to be careful of is Salem's have really piss poor AA. It's decorative AA, so needs to be careful about these gunships. And actually, he might be thinking exactly that, walking his destroyers back in the water where they can still remain under cover of the cruisers. Or at least for the time being, until Willow clears out the rest of the gunships, which, you know, if Willow does this, he's going to be an idiot, because he's going to be running over AA. That, you know, if you're really creative and imaginative, you can see the AA. Actually, nope, wait, there is. There is one singular SAM launcher there that will absolutely annihilate any of Willow's hopes to clean out the Air Force. Never mind. Destroyer's going walking in. Zui's also going walking in. Silent shifting over to Tech 1 land production, it would seem, going for fervors primarily, as well as looks like some labs. So getting some flares out on the scene. Does have some assault tanks, so he went Tech 2 land at some point. Unless that was gifted over to him from somewhere. He's got to have Tech 2 land here somewhere. I don't know where it is, but it's here somewhere. As the Blazes are now engaging the Iashivas and Zuis. But the real problem here, Salem's, obviously. Ryan is in trouble. That's a good player for Team 2 to eliminate here. And maybe not eliminate. It looks more like Team 2 just wants to kneecap Silent entirely. Essentially eliminate him from this game without effectively eliminating him, and then take over the beach. Which I'm a little surprised that Nancy has not done a similar tactic here on Jukebox Hero. Nancy just mostly seems to be marshaling his forces. Getting nano repair on his commander. Actually has full RAS Tech 3 and getting advanced nano repair, so really not wanting his commander to die. But overall been relatively quiet here, as Jukebox Hero and Nancy are just kind of having a stare down here. I got to give the advantage to Nancy, though, as far as overall naval power. Jukebox Hero does have a battle cruiser here, so has moved to Tech 3 on the UEF, but Nancy just has a overwhelming amount of destroyers. Looks like he's got 9 or 10 destroyers, and one battle cruiser is not going to be able to deal with that. 2 battle cruisers starts to level the playing field a little bit. That's going to be a tough situation, though, for Jukebox Hero to hold off. Start to see some of the initial engagements here. And actually, Nancy not feeling super confident about going in, or just Ramboing it in. It's going to take a little bit more of a slower approach, drag this out. Actually pretty smart, pulling all the frigates out of range of the battle cruisers' cover. And instead takes out about half of the overall frigate force just with his retreating destroyers. And actually we got a battleship on the field for Nancy now, so that is definitely a big problem there for Jukebox Hero. And Quantum Typhoon, I think, is just given up there. I don't see any strats or gunships or anything that would have caused that. He just decided, you know what, I'm too far behind the 8-ball. We've got Ryan walking destroyers at me. Just decided, I think, that can't really compete, and I don't really say that I blame him. His battleship's out now for Nancy, leading the charge. Battleship for the Seraphim does not have any torpedo defense, so Jukebox Hero sending all of his T1 subs forward. Tech 1 subs not going to be able to do a ton against the destroyers here of Nancy, but we'll be able to get at least a little bit of damage here in on that battleship before the destroyers absolutely wreck them. Yeah, you can see how quickly the subs go down to those destroyers. Seraphim destroyers, I think, have some of the best torpedoes in the game as far as destroyers go, being that Seraphim don't have any Tech 2 sub. I think they have the best on the destroyer side, but I think Coopers still have them beaten out just for overall destroyer, or like surface vessel and torpedoes. Coopers are quite good at being torpedo and torpedo defense boats. But Ryan now marching forward on land. Several of these Salems in tow. Barely avoiding the tactical missile launchers out from Nancy Boy. As long as he keeps those things moving, shouldn't be too big of a problem. Silent trying to make his way back into the water here. Got a little bit of a reprieve, but the naval blockade here out of Ryan should be able to keep this from happening in any appreciable way. It's funny, all these cruisers are aiming for this destroyer but gonna kill this one because they're close together. But point defense being spammed up by Nancy now. Now that Nancy, the 1900 rated player, has inherited Quantum Typhoon's base, Team 2 need to be able to take this out. Nancy not making it easy, as there's just an absolute storm of cruise missiles coming in from the coast. But looks like Ryan is going to be able to clean out Quantum Typhoon's base. Going to bag himself the last Tech 3 mechs here. Should be able to, at least, as long as those Salems keep moving. So I think Ryan so far MVP for Team 2. And Willow actually has some strats out right now, doing the, the stupid thing and flying his ASF over Sam's. And the strats are also improperly maneuvered over enemy anti-air, going to lose all of his strats. And now his air's not even doing anything. Like, come on, Willow, what are you doing, man? His air's just going to think, wow, this looks like a comfy place to rest. Even going to take some triad fire before Willow finally gets his head out of his ass and decides to take his air elsewhere. But elsewhere on the map, down in the southern pond, Jukebox Hero actually does have his first battleship off the line now. So needs to start thinking about cleaning up some of the battleships here for Nancy Boy. We do have torpedo bomber assistance out from Willow. Trying to level the playing field on these destroyers. As well as take out some of these battleships, which is getting to be relatively helpful here. Uncharacteristically of Willow, I think he is actually doing the right move here. Recognizing that there's very little air ability out of team number 1 right now. Making the most of it, using torpedo bombers to help his buddy down here in the southern pond, and eliminating a couple of battleships while he's at it. 2 battleships down, another one coming in for reinforcements. And it looks like Nancy Boy has now got some Ioshavas, the hovering Tech 2 flak for the Seraphim, and that's going to help for sure at cleaning out these torpedo bombers. That's really, I think, the best way to deal with torpedo bombers is if you're playing Aeon or Seraphim and you do have access to hovering flak, that's going to be, I believe, the most efficient way to deal with torpedo bombers instead of cruisers. Because cruisers, if you've got 50 or so torpedo bombers, you can shift G and kind of take out 5 or 6 cruisers in one shot. Whereas the hovering flak not only has AoE, but it also, you can't hit them with torpedo bombers either. So, quite helpful. But incidentally, I think the Seraphim cruiser as well is the best at dealing with torpedoes, because the Seraphim cruiser is the only one that actually has flak. All the others use surface-to-air missiles, which not quite as efficient. They're much better at dealing with fast-moving targets like strats, but the Seraphim cruisers are far better at dealing with torpedo bombers, at least in my experience. But Nancy Boy, with all of his cruisers parked here off of Ryan's expansion, and Nancy Boy starting to become a real force to be reckoned with here in this southern pond. And Jukebox Hero needs to figure out a way to deal with it. It does have a battleship heading up that way, as well as a bunch of subs. The Seraphim cruisers are vulnerable to subs, and there are no destroyers in this mix, so not a bad strategy there. And you can see one volley from the mighty Mo that is the Summit battleship, able to level a cruiser. So Nancy Boy losing some of his cruisers here. Actually, most of his cruisers, it would appear. Even Ryan turning up in the southern pond, having walked his destroyers over the causeway, helping to clean out some of these cruisers. But Nancy Boy now really quickly approaching critical mass whenever it comes to battleships, as he's now got 4, 8, 9 battleships in the southern pond, up against the 3, 4 there for Jukebox Hero. So Jukebox Hero is not feeling like he's got stars in his eyes so much. It's feeling much more like he's past his own shadow by the backstage door, wishing he could take a trip through the past. But my son, we are in the present. First Summit class battleship going to go down. Are going to take a Halthum with them. But need another flight of torpedo bombers out of Willow, and Willow getting behind the 8 ball as we all expected to help out his friend here in the southern pond. Halthums as well, with a decent fire rate, are not terrible at dealing with a ton of frigates or a ton of smaller targets as well. They unfortunately though have 0 torpedo defense, so Jukebox Hero has shifted entirely over to Tiger Shark manufacturing, and is actually getting pretty close to completely dismantling another battleship almost entirely with just Tech 1 subs. Nancy Boy might be trying to ground fire here, but to very little effect. And there is a nuke now out from Willow. So instead of helping his teammate, he has decided he's going to be nuking Nancy Boy. Nancy Boy with a fully loaded SMD. 3 counter nukes in the tube there for Nancy. And Willow once again making a tactical error that I think we all expect. We all expect much better of him as being one of the mainstays of the Forge Alliance Forever community. He's letting all of us down, most importantly me, in this play. Two battleships left up against 4. These subs are actually putting in way more work than I thought they would as far as leveling the playing field from just an overall damage perspective. Summit Volley gonna take out another battleship there for Nancy Boy. Also got some bulwarks, some of those shield boats. That's gonna help out quite a bit. And Nancy realizing here that these subs are a little too much of a problem. Willow showing up with Tech 2 torpedo bombers. Too little too late if you ask me, as the fight is pretty much over. Willow will be able to steal some of the glory here on the back line, but also just very poor torpedo bomber maneuvering. Flies over the flak, gets absolutely annihilated. I mean, at the very least, Jukebox Hero was able to keep Nancy engaged long enough to try and keep things interesting. And we got 2 nukes now out of Ryan going after the air player here. Air player does not have any SMD. Are there any on the front here for Silent that might pick this up? Doesn't look like it. To be fair, Silent has had his hands full. Oh, and actually the first nuke is going for Silent. Second one going for that rear air player. Second one going in on the rear air player. This is, Nancy's got a lot of weight to pull here at 36 minutes into the game. What is he doing right now with his eco? Okay, so we do have Tech 3 air out for him. He's manufacturing torpedo bombers. Willow makes a critical mistake here with his air. Gets absolutely annihilated by somebody he thought was no threat. Classic underestimation. But he does have a window right now that his teammates have bought him to kind of level the playing field. Shift over to ASF production. Torpedo bombers once again, too little, too late. Going over the flak. As Jukebox Hero about to get naval locked here, just like Silent has been for the last 10 to 15 minutes or so. Does have a couple of battleships that are hanging on. And the torpedo bombers, despite the subpar commander ability of their general, are able to do a little bit of damage. But the Tech 3 Naval HQ is about to go down here for Jukebox Hero. Right before another battleship was coming off of the assembly line. Jukebox Hero hanging on by his fingernails here in the southern pond. As the air game continuing to worsen for Willow, even with, to be fair for Willow, he is 2v1 in air now, as Nancy is manufacturing his own ASF. Silent as well. Huge land migration here into Jukebox Hero, turning a bad situation to worse. We'll see how that ends up playing out. We got that large Tech 2 stream coming down from Silent, and another nuke launched from Willow, who's, stupidly working on a RAS upgrade. Just for the record, whenever anybody else does a RAS upgrade, it's genius, okay? Nancy Boy goes for a RAS upgrade, that's genius. Willow goes for one. I mean, it's Willow being Willow, Willow's gotta do the stupid thing, but he's going for a nuke on what looks to be Silent's kind of remanufactured base here, where he's doing everything he can to try and stem the tide that is Ryan. Actually, I take that back. It's going for this little forward position. I can't imagine Willow would be stupid enough to nuke that area. Nope, going for that position. Didn't scout it. There is a nuke eliminator there. So now we've got SMDs popping up out of both Nancy Boy as well as the rearguard air player. So only one without an SMD is Silent, and to be real, Silent is, you know, outside of, well, this huge, I was about to say Silent's kind of a non-factor, but he seems to have kind of turned himself into very much of a factor here, as the last remnants of Jukebox Hero's main base completely getting annihilated. Tech 3 Air HQ about to go down to battleship fire from the bay. Proper Normandy invasion there. As we'll just call this Omaha because, you know, it's a beach. Battleships are able to provide a little bit of covering fire. I don't know what it is with me and like World War II stuff in my recent casts, because I remember the last cast I did last night was I talked about the Manhattan Project. So, all right, World War II stuff. Willow has got some gunships out that is trying to stem the bleeding here, but ASF show up from Team 1's air player. Willow's ASF delayed response there, going to lose all of his gunships. Will be able to win the air engagement, but is not going to be able to do anything about the stuff on the ground or Jukebox Hero's commander just getting bent over and slammed by all these blazes here. Unfortunately, a lot of the blazes don't know that mountains are a thing, and that you cannot shoot through them. I mean, the first thing that we do whenever we set up a gun range is we make sure that we have a mountain or a hill behind us, or behind the target, so that the bullets don't go anywhere. But Gunship's going to be able to clean up the rest of this. Jukebox Hero's commander is going to go the way of most 80s bands and flare out. And just nuke upon nuke upon nuke upon nuke. I think I heard 3 notifications there, all coming out from Ryan, who now has 3 liberators. What is with this? Like yesterday I was talking about how this is how an AI should play the game, or how you should play the game against AI, but apparently this is how people at my skill rating play as well. But that nuke is going to land right on top of Silent Bug's head. That is going to be it for Silent, which, you know, Silent's last gasp was kind of that big Tech 2 push, which, to be fair, did a good amount of work and eliminated Jukebox Hero. But now we have a 2 versus 2 set up here. So levels the playing field. We got 2 players on both sides relatively healthy. Chickens coming out from Nancy, as well as a Yolona. So Nancy doing the big brain 1900 level move, going for a game ender here. Whereas we got Ryan and Willow both going for just massive conventional nuclear weapons, I guess. Going for, you know, A-bombs instead of H-bombs. Willow is, you know, sleeping once again at the wheel. There we go. There we go. Gunship's now moving. I got to give my boy all the love that I can, because, you know, he doesn't play as much anymore. He's got a whole new channel. I'll link it down in the description below if you guys are curious. But he's got a whole new channel dedicated to a lot of Fallout 4 content. So if you're a Fallout 4 enjoyer, then I would go check that channel out. He does a lot of challenge runs and videos on there. Stuff is pretty high production value. So it's, you know, you're not watching him just play Fallout for, you know, 12 hours on a video. Does a lot of good editing. Does a lot of good editing to kind of clean it up and tell a coherent story. I'm not the biggest Fallout 4 fan, but I can appreciate, you know, good effort whenever I see it going into different videos. And I know Fallout 4 is still a very popular game out there. So yeah, if you're into that kind of stuff, Fallout 4 challenge runs, then go check out Willow's other channel. But more nukes coming out from Ryan here, 44 minutes into the game, going after Nancy Boy. Nancy Boy still has this SMD, which has 4 in the pipe. Assuming both of these nukes are going after Nancy, they're not going to be able to get through. Actually, it looks like this one's going for this kind of more forward base with Tech 3 Land HQ, but there's an SMD here too that only had one counter nuke in the chamber, but you know, it's very difficult to overwhelm an SMD with the nuclear missile launchers. You got to spend just insane amounts of resources to be able to do that. And at that point, you know, you're better off going for, I think you're better off going for a Salvation or a Scathis or something like that. Like, what is the, okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Liberators up here for Ryan. I'm curious, I don't know this, I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm curious if he had not built 4 and instead gone for a Scathis, what the result would have been. I'll go ahead and pop the results here on the screen. If y'all are curious, because I for one am. Willow making a strat run almost knocks out the SMD, and losing that SMD would have been very bad for Nancy, as Willow, I'm assuming he's got one in the tube right now, but he needs to be able to take out that SMD in order to make that nuke at all worth it. The Yolona, though, now up and running for Nancy. He's got, well, actually, I take that back. He's got another SMD back here with 2 loaded. So, and he's building a fourth one. So, you know, you're never gonna win trying to overwhelm SMDs with standard Tech 3 nuke launchers. The only way you can really do it is with the Yolona. And, 46 minutes into the game, we've got a Yolona on the field there for Nancy. So, you know, this is looking like pretty dire straits here for Team 2. Do they know the Yolona is up yet? Okay, yeah, they definitely do. Scout Yolanda being built. I don't know if that's a Napoleon Dynamite reference or what, but yeah, so it seems like Team 2 is now going for massive amounts of land units. They do have a monkey. They have a shitload of Salems. And then a lot of Medusa and Tech 1 units being spammed out of Ryan's factories here. Is Ryan still making Navy? Okay, good. Ryan did shut down his Navy. There's the first nuke out of the Yolona. It is going after Ryan. Ryan has SMD. He has 4 SMDs, none of which are loaded. Okay, I take it back. Nope, he does have 1 that is loaded with 4 in the chamber. So that's going to buy him a little bit of time. I guess 1 in the chamber, 3 in the clip. If we're using proper firearms terminology there. Ithoda squaring off against Salem's. Got another nuke, this time out of Willow. I'm having trouble keeping track of where all these nukes are going. They're all going after the Yolona. Same with that land invasion. This is the primary area that Team 2 want to take out, and we have a large amount of revenants here coming in. Second nuke coming out of the Yolona, assuming it's going after Ryan. Ryan still will be able to deal with that for now, but revenants coming in, I'm assuming going after the Yolona. Payloads away. They're not even going after the Yolona. They picked their target incorrectly. They're actually going after Nancy Boy's comm. But Nancy Boy with that advanced nano repairs got 40,000 HP on that bad boy. That just saved his life. Monkey Lord, though, coming in now. Now, assuming that Monkey Lord just focuses on the commander, this could be it for Nancy Boy. But Ryan cannot get distracted. Okay, he's going after the Yolana. He's not going to get it. Shields blip on right in the nick of time here. Going to go through the first shield. Second shield evaporating quickly. Not going to be able to get it. Yolana survives with 150 HP. Jeez. That's about as close as it can get. You might have just gone after Nancy's commander there instead of going after the Yolana. And it looks like Air Player is going to bow out. It said he was just defeated by Control K, so he's going to Control K. So it is now Nancy versus Willow and Ryan here. But that decision to go after the Yolona instead of walking down Nancy's commander might be something that comes back and haunts Team 2. Because, yeah, they've got a bunch of Salems, but I'm not seeing anything as far as experimentals. Meanwhile, we've got a Monkey Lord here done for Nancy. We also have another Monkey Lord here, so 2 Monkey Lords. And Monkey Lords are going to be able to deal with Salems just fine. Because Salems move very slow whenever they're on land. And a Monkey Lord should be able to catch up to them relatively easily. Especially whenever they get in close, you can see that microwave laser just absolutely evaporating them. So Salem's not working out. Nuke now going after Willow. Willow has 1, 2... Okay, is going to be able to make it. So I don't think we've had a Yolona nuke land just yet. Team 2 still holding on for now. Needs to probably swing up to the north and take out all of these Tech 3 mexes that Nancy has inherited from his air player. Retaliatory nuke out from Ryan, but I mean we've looked at Nancy's SMD coverage. It's pretty solid. Does seem to be stalling energy right now, but he's got 5 or 6 counter nukes covering this one area right now. As another Yolona gets launched, this one looks like it's going after Willow. Willow has his SMD here. Does have 1 loaded with a second one. Might make it. I don't know. He might make that second one. That nuke's coming in awful quick. I can't remember if it's going for here or here based on the last time I watched it. I'm going to assume it's going to go for the main base. But first counter nuke goes off, actually going for the forward base. Is that going to get loaded in time? It is not going to get loaded in time. Loads like 1 second too late. 1 second too late. Experimental unit out from Willow. Azar now getting dropped on the Yolona. The Yolona not going to survive. As more nukes come out from Ryan. Sorry if I'm missing things. There's so much happening right now. As this land invasion now does have a Monkey Lord with it. So Ryan now trying to go for experimentals. Nukes are going after the main site here. There is 1 counter nuke in the chamber for this SMD, 0 in the chamber for this one. So might be these two. One of these two might get through. No, not going to get through. 1 skirted the range of this counter nuke up here. So neither of those nukes going to be able to get through. Meanwhile, on the southern side, Nancy has made landfall with 5 chickens. Willow does have a GC, but 5 chickens versus a GC. I think we all know how that is going to go. Why are these chickens only firing their... Okay, there they go. Now they're firing like their, primary weapons. But yeah, that GC not going to be able to stem that tide at all. What will help is if those Yothotas never turn around. Okay, there they go. All right, GC's down now. I think Willow's only option here has got to be nuclear point defense. Ryan's got to have one of these nuke launchers loaded. He's got... Yeah, no, that's a Guardian. Maybe he doesn't have any of them loaded. Okay, that would be bad. So Ryan now going for Tech 1 bomber spam. As strats coming from Willow. Take it back, Ryan did have 1 loaded. Going after the Yothotas, probably should have led that target a little bit more. You're shooting at a deer that's, half a mile away at that point. 308's a good round, but you gotta lead that target a little bit more. Might bag this one on the back. Nope, not gonna bag any of them. So just straight up miss on the nuclear point defense. Willow does have some Tech 2 point defense here in his base that should be shooting, but for some reason aren't. Okay, now there they go. Now they open up, but that chicken is now in the base. The lightning storm, as well as just the collateral damage from the strats, leveling Willow's air ability. Luckily, there are enough strats and Tech 1 bombers to make sure that nothing else really of damage is going to be done, but going to be taken out. But I mean, Willow's going to lose his SMD. He's probably going to lose his nuke launcher. He's going to lose his entire main base. Yep. Quantum gateway, everything. At least he does have, some mobile eco production in the RAS boys he's got back here. Working on another Tsar. But even the RAS boys getting taken out is going to save about 6 of them. So, I mean, at least he's got some eco to work with, though. But Nancy now has a very well-established beachhead here. Ryan has been struggling to do much of anything up here with his beachhead. It's just been a lot of Tech 1 artillery. It does have a couple of Monkey Lords now, but is just sending so many Salems, which, I mean, I kind of get it. Like, your Salems, you don't really want to do anything else with them, and they can walk, so might as well, but should probably be constructing some crabs or something else, as the Strat Bombers are now making their way north for both Willow and Ryan here. Let's see if the plan is queued up. Plan not queued up here so far. I would imagine the SMDs are front of mind here. We do have a fully loaded, or not a fully loaded, but an SMD with one in the chamber there, so that nuke is not going to land. Are there any other SMDs that I'm missing? Yes, there's another one with 2. So 3 SMDs here. That nuke isn't going to land. So, yeah. Well, this is going to be yesterday for me, but the last cast y'all watched, we saw just how effective massive nuclear missile launchers can be whenever you're, lower rated player in like the 900 rating level. It doesn't work against the 2000s. Yeah, does not work. Now Ryan is under pressure in his base. Not even really any build power to be able to get some point defense up. So Ryan's base now in trouble. Willow's base is effectively leveled. Most of his eco is now only within 6 RAS boys that he managed to hang on to from the last attack. Monkey Lord picking off the Tech 1 out of Ryan. And even the cruisers in the bay causing problems for the Salems that are trying to walk across. Yeah, I don't think that Ryan is going to be able to penetrate the space of Nancy. But strats are now coming in from the left side of the screen. Maybe this is enough to start going after some of these SMDs. These are all the Revenants. Willow did have a couple of Shockers that were bumping around. I think those might have gotten retasked to deal with the land incursion that you can see here. But we'll keep an eye on these strats as they now mobilize, going after some power generators, some energy storage. There's a good amount of Tech 3 AA in the vicinity. Also going after some of these mass fabs. And a lot of people have criticized my video on mass fabs for this very reason, which is they do need to be shielded. And in that video, I never claimed that was the fact, that they didn't need to be shielded. But this is, yes, one of the primary drawbacks, and a drawback that you do pay for if you're benefiting from the greater mass efficiency of the mass fabs, is they do need to be shielded and protected from air attacks. And we got some mass fabs here from Ryan that are also going to be going down to land assaults. From the Zuis, gunship's getting scrambled, so Renegade's out. But I'm seeing Ioshiva's in the mix here, as well as just a ton of Tech 1 AA, as well as lightning tanks. Gunships are not going to be able to cut the cheese here. Now Ryan with the only one with a base anymore. Sending a nuke after the manufacturing facilities for Nancy Boy. Probably something he should have done a while ago. But it's looking like the pushes from, well, actually this push is probably not going to make it any further. They did take out a good amount of Nancy's mass fabrication capabilities. The Yolona is already almost rebuilt. Willow sending in a Tsar. Going after, what is he going after? I think he might be looking for Nancy's comm, or he's looking for the Yolona. That Tsar gonna miss. Nope, not gonna miss, but not gonna be able to kill off the Yolona's. The Yolona being rebuilt. Now we properly have nuclear point defense being used by Ryan. Very expensive way to deal with point defense. At least this one's on the mark. This one's going to take out a very large swath of units here. Including damaging a chicken, potentially. Yeah, damaging a chicken. Boy, that nuked almost that entire army. So, alright, I guess they're not out of it yet. But, Monkey Lord, this is probably a good time to go to split screen. That's not what I wanted to do. Alright, we're going to go with a little bit of... There we go. Still getting practiced on... Still getting back into it whenever it comes to camera maneuvers. But you can see kind of the difference. Nancy does have experimental defense, and there are no experimentals on offense here for Ryan. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, Ryan relying almost entirely on Cybran Tech 2 point defense, which, as we all know, is kind of like hitting a freight train with a wet tissue. He's got enough of them. I think that chicken will eventually go down, but not before it takes out a good amount of Ryan's ability to continue manufacturing units, as most of Ryan's air grid just goes pop there, or not most of, but a good portion of it goes pop. Meanwhile, on the other side, Salem's trying to take out these SMDs, but maybe they don't know where they are, or they can't get through the shield. I don't know, but Salem's fire seems to be very disorganized here. Some are going after Tech 3 SAM launchers, others going after the shield. Meanwhile, all of them standing still, and the cruisers in the bay just doing absolute murder here. But Nancy Boy going to get repelled by the Tech 2 point defense there for Ryan on the lower end side of the map. Ryan tries to mount another attack wave with Tech 1 mobile artillery, but gonna run into this spider bot. Gonna microwave all those Medusa. Willow going for advanced range up here behind the mini map. And the Monkey Lord is gonna pretty much stop that offensive maneuver. Salem's here. We're gonna go back to single screen, but Salem's here just being really disorganized with what they want to shoot at. They want to be taking out these SMDs, but are split up. We have some going after SAM launchers. We have one kind of going after an SMD. One's kind of going after a shield. Like, everything is damaged in here. All these Salem's just shooting at different things all the time. And now they're sailing across this little lake and gonna run into a Monkey Lord. And that missile launch notification actually not coming out from Ryan, which we've gotten really used to, but the Yolona is now done there for Nancy. Nancy nuking once again with that Yolona, and this one looking like it's gonna land. So we see that beautiful Yolona Os flowery explosion. Definitely 10 out of 10, considering this game came out in the mid to late 2000s on graphical fidelity. I know at the time this game was like, this was like the crisis of real-time strategy games, and you can kind of see it because the graphics even hold up today, in my opinion. Like, I play games that have been made in the last couple of years that have graphics that look like this. Nancy now going for some nuclear point defense of his own. Gonna vaporize those 2 monkey lords while he's at it. Delayed damage from the Yolona gets me every time. I haven't talked at all about total mass. Well, Team 2 is in the lead. That's actually kind of surprising. I mean, I don't know, actually. What do reclaim numbers look like? Nancy's got to be making out like a bandit. Actually, only 265 for Team 1, 225 for Team 2. Not a ton of reclaim happening for either team. I mean, I say that, but considering, you know, over, you know, almost 4 million mass, usually, at least in my experience, reclaim seems to be a little bit more of a player, but I guess everybody's using nuclear weapons so much they just keep destroying all the wrecks before they actually turn into anything. Nancy now going with another Yolona shot against Ryan's island here. Ryan obviously forgot to turn off the repeat button for this factory that's just been making Medusa for probably the last 30 minutes. But all those Medusa are going to die. Pretty much that entire island goes up in smoke from that Yolona. So Noose is tightening. Willow doing what he can out here with his commander. He has Brass and double gun. 15 kills on his commander, so obviously getting a lot of work done with it. But this is looking like a starting to be an unwinnable scenario here for Team 2. There is another Yolona that comes out. This Guardian does have 2 anti-nukes in the chamber, but you know, 1 in the chamber, 1 in the clip. Bad habit. This Guardian does have 3, but it's, I mean, if we're being honest here, it's a matter of time until, you know, Willow, first off, dies from these lightning tanks. Does pick up a fortunate rank of veterancy there, but yeah, his comm is donezo there. So that leaves Ryan as the only player left, and actually they overlaunched 3 SMDs, or 3 defensive nukes.
Strategic launch detected.
Another one's coming out from Nancy. Ryan's still trying to make headway here. We still got Salem's out here. I don't know whether he's still is he still making Salem's, or yeah, he's still making Salem's. Like, the Salem's are not working, buddy. You know, I mean, I'm as dogmatic as the rest of them, but I mean, he's got to have lost 50 or 60 Salem's to Monkey Lords and cruise missiles. Yolona's going to take it, or Yolona, next nuke's down. Nancy is loaded once again. And there she blows. How many more does Nancy have to get through here? Or is this chicken actually just going to finish the job? Chicken might just finish the job, but Nancy's got to get through another 4 counter nukes. That's assuming, you know, this chicken doesn't just destroy all the SMDs. Jukebox Hero advising Telly, which might not be the worst idea. Ryan, I think, is lacking power, though. And, well, Nancy's comm is in the water. And looks like the chicken going to be able to clear out the point defense, the artillery, going to be able to clear out the remaining SMDs, and it's a matter of time as GGs are starting to get called out here. Another nuke comes out for Nancy, going after the naval yards that have been dormant for the last 20 to 30 minutes or so. And I don't know if Ryan is gonna stay in this. Speed it up a little bit. Just because the north, I don't think anything exciting is going to happen in the north. The Yolo shot did get shot down, where there was another SMD back here that I missed. But that's going to get killed here in the very near future. That should be the last SMD there for Ryan. But the Yolona, not really a ton else for it to do except for to start nuking the production facilities here for Ryan. But Ryan is essentially down to, what is his mass income right now? 1. Okay, so Ryan's done. Okay, Nancy is being an arrogant little prick. We get it, Nancy, you played well.
Strategic launch detected.
But Nuke is going to come out. I don't know where this one's going after. I don't know why Ryan hasn't controlled Cade yet, but we are going to see this one through to the end. Going after some of the Navy here. There was actually a Monkey Lord under the water.
Strategic launch detected.
Another nuke out. Just going to max this out. Looks like Nancy is, you know, trying to kill Ryan with Yolona. He gets close on that one. Ryan survives with about 6k HP.
Strategic launch detected.
Comes the next one. Bad shot on that one, old chap. Ugh. And well, while Ryan is prolonging this game, and we'll, you know, wait for that to happen. We got a couple different options here. I can continue casting, but I don't really think it makes much of a difference, as the game is basically over. I'm still going to label this as a legendary cast, because, you know, the real action did go longer than an hour, even though right now Nancy is just being a little arrogant prick. But still going to label this as a legendary cast because I think it deserves it. Plus my boy Willow is in it. And for all the crap that I gave him, he did play quite well. So, you know, we'll go ahead and close the video out there. I think we all know how this one is going to end. You know, I'll leave a time lapse on the screen if y'all want to watch the rest of it for whatever reason. But really appreciate you guys for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.
Strategic launch detected. Strategic launch detected. Strategic launch detected. Strategic launch detected.